I'm with Sarah Wilkinson, the indefatigable campaigner and reporter over Gaza and the genocide of Palestinians by the Israeli government. And she's here at the Central Criminal Court facing charges of various charges of terrorism. And we're going to ask her about that just now and how she feels. So, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
I'm terribly sorry to see you in this position. Could I first of all ask you why you think you're here today?
I'm here today because I report about Gaza, and I've been doing so quite prolifically, and I'll admit, between 30 and 50 posts per day. And so the idea really is to silence journalists, activists, and even doctors and anybody that supports Gaza. So the only way that they can do this is by criminalising us, as if supporting the Palestinians of Gaza and opposing genocide is something to be criminalised.
How do you feel about the way in which you were initially arrested, the horrific police behaviour and damage to your property and to your mother's urn and other things, and since that's taken place, and of course the treatment of you and your son?
Well, actually, what it is pure terrorism. It's British state terrorism. And that's the irony of it, is that we are being arrested on charges of terrorism purely for opposing the Israeli genocide, and yet what is being meted out against us is actually terrorism, like terrorising the community, closing off the top end of town, sending balaclavaed thugs to your house, ransacking your house, including your property, stealing and looting your property, and then not listing it as items that you've taken. That actually is terrorism. That's terrorism against us. But what's happening is we're being charged with terrorism when none of us have ever even heard it fly. So this thing where if you support Gaza and you oppose genocide, that now makes you a terrorist.
So, Sarah, do you think then that this persecution has got anything to do with our government? Do you think the police and the government are involved with Mossad or the Israeli government and are supporting them in attacking yourself?
It's absolutely straight out of the Tel Aviv paper. Some of the questions in my first interrogation, they were not British questions, they were racist questions, which I actually had to break my no comment for. So no, this is the ties that the British government have with the Israeli regime. I mean, they class them as allies. And who'd have an ally that murders, it's well over 70,000. I mean, you'd probably find the figures are more like 150 to 200,000 people have been slaughtered by the Israeli regime. And so who'd have an ally that does this? And, just terrorise an entire community and want to ethnically cleanse an entire population for the Greater Israel Project, which is what it is. So, yeah, this is, the British government is tied in so tightly, so deep-rootedly, that what it's doing is protecting the Israeli state at any cost. And anybody that opposes it, or a journalist or an activist that speaks out against this genocide, they're the ones that they now want to silence. So we've become criminalised because we're not being silent, and that is their problem. The only way they can silence us is by jailing us.
I appreciate you're tight for time and you need to get in, but just a couple more questions. What would you like to say to Keir Starmer and this government if you were given the chance?
He's on the wrong side of history. He's on the wrong side of history. He's supporting an entity that is genociding an entire population, and is continuing to do so. Even the ceasefire is a complete ruse. So the ceasefire really is just a rebranded version of genocide. The Palestinians are still being killed on a daily basis. There's still an average count of Palestinians being killed. So the ceasefire was a ruse. And Keir Starmer is completely in league with the Israeli regime taking over not just Gaza but the whole of Palestine. And what I would say to him is he's on the wrong side of history. I mean, one day, maybe he'll be in The Hague, and that's where he should be, because he has been, helping to militarize this genocide, trading in weapons, sending over weapons, making sure that the Israelis can still facilitate what is mass murder. So, he's on the wrong side of history. That would be my mantra of a phrase to him. And one day, the world will wake up and realize.
Thank you. And what would you like to see happen with these atrocious anti-terror laws?
They've got to be changed. They are using the anti-terror laws to actually commit acts of terror against civilians, activists, doctors, teachers, elderly people just holding up placards. I think there's been over 2,000 people arrested purely for opposing the Israeli genocide. So, the whole thing's got to be repealed. The whole thing's got to be dismantled and started over, because this is not anti-terror. This is terrorism under the British state. So it's not anti-terror, it's not preventing crime, it's not stopping anybody from doing anything anywhere else in the country. All it is targeting us as journalists, reporters and activists. So the whole thing's got to be dismantled.
Okay, just two more questions for you. First of all, what would you like to say about the support, the messages of support and the support of people today and at other times?
The support has been incredible. And I have got so many messages, I'm unable to literally every day reply to them. So I'll say it now, that without my followers, without the support, actually I'm nothing. I'm speaking to an empty auditorium. So thank you to all my supporters and everybody that's come out on these horrible, wet, rainy days just to support me, because I'm not really the story. The story is free speech, the story is Palestine, the story is Gaza, the story is genocide, and the story is stopping this Israeli impunity, which is continuing to the point where eventually we will have an entire nation of people ethnically cleansed.
And finally, is there anything else, Sarah, that you'd like to add?
We are being persecuted purely for supporting the Palestinians and trying to save Gaza. That is why there's this witch hunt about people who persist on telling the truth. And if we keep persisting on telling the truth, then they will completely persist to try and stop us. And so this will go on and this will go on and on and on. Because as soon as I come out of court, even if I'm acquitted or whatever happens, then something else will happen. They need to silence the journalists. And we've seen this with the international journalists not being allowed into Gaza. It isn't just them, it's everybody on social media, it's everybody who's in a protest, it's everybody who's marching the streets. Everyone who wants this genocide to end basically is not exempt from arrest any longer.
Okay, look, Sarah, thank you very much. I wish you the very best for today and the case as it continues, if it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.